there. I'm Susan Hartley, and I'm running for the 2-year seat. I'm the lady with the pink signs, pink flyers out in the lobby. And if you want to sign, give me your name and everyone. I'm seeking a council seat to return control of Santa Monica to the residents. I want to see all the residents being represented on the council, not just a small group and the developers. The Santa Monica we know and love is being bulldozed to death. Developments are of an unacceptable number, height, and density. We need more limits on growth. Santa Monica Airport threatens us all daily with its noise pollution, air pollution, and crash risks. The FAA's expansion of the flight paths endangers wider and wider areas of our town. The airport must be closed. I've been a 15-year resident of Santa Monica, north and south, renter and homeowner, airport commissioner, friend of Sunset Park board member, Tree Saver co-founder, I'm on the board of Veterans for Peace, and it says stop.
Thank you, Susan.
Good evening. 2 years ago, I was elected by you folks as the first non-Santa Monica renters' rights candidate on the Rent Control Board. And quite frankly, since that time, we have been able to bring new ideas and new ways of looking at municipal government. And I just want to share with you that the voters, and I deeply believe this, that the voters in our city and across the country quite generally have a right to a voice other than the current elected officials, and that voice currently is fallen upon my shoulders. Our city has a variety of magnificent qualities, but we're also, quite frankly, in a financial crisis. Folks, we cannot tax our way out of mismanagement. I'm running to redirect $20 million to schools, build our police department, and ensure that the future of this city is sound and stable. My name is Robert Cronevet, and I appreciate your vote and your time.
Thank you, Robert. Terry?
Good evening. I'm Terry O'Day, and I've lived in Santa Monica almost 15 years. My wife and I moved here because we wanted to join a community where residents make a difference. And since serving on the council, for me, it's a reflection of my lifelong commitment to public service. Since I was appointed to the council in February to fill the seat of the late Ken Genzer, I've been dedicated to things that matter to all of us here in this community. Safer streets and greener city policies, livable neighborhoods, great schools, services for our diverse population, and a realistic regional solution to our traffic problems. I'm running to continue that work that I've started. I'm the youngest member of the council, and I think represent a future orientation for our city. 5 or 15 seconds. And yet I'm building on the legacy of council members that have come before me. This is a city where people come first, and it has the potential to be the greatest model of sustainability and progressive policies in the country. That's what I want to stand for in Ontario.
Thank you.
Santa Monica is a special place, and I'm running for another 2 years on the council because I've been fighting to keep those things that make Santa Monica special. For example, as a planning commissioner before being appointed to the city council, I was very involved in crafting the loose, and one of the architects of the idea of conserving our neighborhoods being a touchstone of the loose. We do not want to bring change to our Santa Monica neighborhoods. They're wonderfully diverse, and they should remain wonderfully stable. I've been a strong voice for education and lifelong learning since being on the council, and a strong voice for affordable housing and renters' rights. I believe that Santa Monica is a great city, and I am committed to keeping it great. I'd appreciate your vote. My name is Colleen Davis.
Thank you.
Well, I have an experience with homelessness that dates all the way back into my youth. And in college, I started organizing with homeless folks, where we started an organization where we put homeless folks on a co-equal footing with the students at the college. Students brought resources, homeless folks brought their agenda, and we worked together to try to solve problems in the community. And I took that forward and worked on national policy issues related to homelessness and affordable housing. Every homeless person you meet on the street is different, and each one has different needs. And when you meet them, they come up with different things. So, some are panhandling, and they have an immediate need and a request. Others have an immediate need for food. Others want to know where local services are. It sort of depends on
Thank
my
you.
approach is to get together individually.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that's a fine question, and I'm going to lay it out on the table for you folks, because I think you're entitled to understand where we're coming from. About 3 weeks ago, we had a party for my 15-year-old daughter, and there was a young kid walking into the house, and a transient approached him and frightened him very much. So I got to let you folks know that I believe the homeless population and transient population is a public threat to our safety. And I will move to have the feds reinstate the Civilian Conservation Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a city. We are not a fiefdom. We cannot solve all these problems.
Thanks, Bob.
What I just did a couple days ago was I told this, really a kid, that he should go to St. Joseph's Center. I know from friends of mine who became homeless, professionals in Santa Monica who lost their company closed and they ended up being homeless, that St. Joseph's Center was very helpful with getting them back on their feet and getting them housing. And so many of our veterans come back and are become homeless. So it's a national tragedy, and I feel it's something we really need to do something about, and St. Joseph's Center does a dang good job.
Thank you.
I frequently, but do not always, give them money. I'm blessed that I've been successful in my life, and if other people haven't had that blessing, I'm willing to share. I'm very proud of the fact that our policies in Santa Monica have reduced the number of homeless persons that we all see on the street. And I support continuing programs that will further reduce that number. So I look forward to doing that in my next 2 years on the council.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Terry?
No.
Lee?
No.
Susan?
Yes.
I'm thinking back over the last year and a half. I think the one decision that I would have liked to have done differently, not necessarily come to a different conclusion, but perhaps thought about differently, involved some of our budgetary challenges. It was heartbreaking to see some of our older residents come to us at budget time and explain how a simple 1.5% in the reduction in our social services budget was cutting Meals on Wheels. So I would have liked to look for an additional way to keep those programs funded.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to go back to the budget also. And when I joined the council, it was our last meeting in February, and budget season starts right after that. And so I was very new to the council at that time. I would like to have more time to dig into that budget. I'm looking forward to doing that next year so I can find new opportunities to reflect the interests of the folks that are voting in Santa Monica.
Well, let's just talk for a moment about economics. I think it's so important, and I think you folks are entitled to understand how we see what government is and what government is not in a municipal position. Historically, this country was founded from the federal, went down to the state, and now we are very blessed with a thriving municipal government. In so many ways, the role of municipal government is really quite a basic role of excellent schools, public safety, and general services. In many ways, it's an embarrassment when the city council uses to raise taxes. Taxes, folks, are the last option. Our current council looks at it as the first option. Our budget is the largest municipal budget in the country. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks.
I decided to run for city council 2 years ago when the city council passed on the loose, they decided on the height and density of the boulevards. I was very opposed to how high they were going. And it happened July 11th, 2008. And then this last July, the city council raised that even higher. So I really would oppose that, and that's really been the impetus for me running. Terry, here's a copy of the budget that shows you how thick this thing is. It needs to be studied. I've been studying it. And the other thing I would have done was to not to keep the disabled and the children from being able to talk at city council meetings at the beginning of the meeting instead of having them just submit something in writing. I think it's a great educational opportunity for kids to come to council and speak.
Thank you.
We cannot solve our financial crisis with mismanagement. As far as RR goes, I'm on the rent board. We have the strongest rent control in the nation. So what does it really say to you folks? That our council is putting a rent control measure on the ballot. It's false. It's empty. Ladies and gentlemen, these folks do not have your interests at heart.
Okay, I'm voting no on Y, and I'm voting yes on YY, and the reason is why I'm voting yes on YY is to send a message to City Council that whether or not Y passes, they need to give the schools the $6 million that people think that the schools will get from Y. I'm opposed to Y. It's poorly drafted. It's vague and ambiguous. That's why we have all these different groups coming in saying they want some money from this. And we've already been taxed enough. People are having a hard time. And that's why I'm voting no on Y.
Should any money go to SMC, yes or no?
Well,
Yes or no?
no.
Okay.
I'm yes on all of the above. As for Y and YY, Sacramento has essentially pickpocketed local governments to try to balance the state budget. And this has forced us to cut in Santa Monica, to raise fees, and to use one-time funds that we had been saving up for a rainy day. Those funds are now nearly depleted. We've cut the waste out of the budget. It's reflected in our AAA bond rating, the best in this country. That leaves us two choices: cutting our city services or generating new revenue that Sacramento can't rob from us. I'm in favor of giving half of it to the schools.
What about SMC?
And SMC
Yes,
can
no?
be considered for the other half.
I'm sorry, Bo, I didn't ask you that as well. You didn't answer whether or not yes or no for SMC.
I don't think it's a municipal responsibility to fund SMC.
Thank you.
I'm very much in favor of Y. I'm very much in favor of YY. I'm very much in favor of RR. In fact, I'm proud that I was the council member who suggested both YY and RR to the council, along with Councilmember McEwen. I want to focus a little bit on RR because it's been getting a little bit less play. I think it's very important that we take our strong tenant protections that we presently extend to people in rent-controlled units and extend them to tenants in all units. One of the great things about RR is it gives additional protection to seniors and the disabled so that they can't be moved out of their units and they're allowed to age gracefully in place.
Thank you, Gwen. Did you SMC? No? Yes, no?
I believe that out of the city's 50%, we may be able to spend some money on some collaborative programs, such as the Child Care Center and the Civic Center.
So yes?
And the Emeritus Program. Out of the city's 50%, not the
Okay.
school district's.
Okay, so none of the, okay, I got you. Thank you.
All right.